Live from Aspen, Colorado, this is Aspen Ideas Digital.
Welcome everyone and good morning to Aspen Ideas Digital. We are at the 18th festival here in sunny Aspen, Colorado on the ancestral lands of the Ute people. I am so thrilled that you're joining us this morning. I hope you've grabbed your coffee. I know I have grabbed mine. We have a lot of really provocative and insightful content in store for you today. So let's jump right in. I'm Zincle Asamoah. I am going to be your host all week. I'm a reporter with NBC News Now, and my job is to ask questions. And this week, we're going to be hearing questions and getting them answered from some of the leading thought leaders of our time. And starting this morning, we have a great discussion. I'm very excited for you to hear it. Every morning at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, I'm going to be bringing you the morning update. So be ready. You can be on your laptop. You can be on your phone. This is relaxed. You see, I have my iPad. And we're just going to have a good conversation every morning about what's happening right here at the festival. Our first conversation this morning is one that I am very excited about. We're joined by Eileen Gu, Eva Chen, and the Aspen Ideas team very own Ava Hartman. They're talking about Instagram, being authentic online. I know many of us have online social accounts. I'm streaming on my accounts right now. Hello, if you're watching. And they're going to talk about what the metaverse means for democratizing the country and the world, as well as what animal accounts make people happy. So let's take a listen to this pre-recorded conversation, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Hi everyone, I'm Ava. I work here at the Aspen Ideas Festival, and we're so excited to be joined by Eileen Gu, Olympic gold medalist, student, and fashion model, and Eva Chen, VP of Fashion Partnerships at Instagram. So we'll just jump right in. We're excited to talk about fashion, Instagram, and just being a woman in the world today, I think. So Eva just got off a really great panel with Winnie Harlow and Jessica Krull, and she gave everyone in the audience some Instagram advice. So I'd love to just start with Eva giving us that advice, and then Eileen, if you have your own advice or just like of this younger generation, kind of responding to what Eva's very good but difficult, I think, actually, Instagram advice is.
I don't think
Let's hear
it. Like Ava's setting it up
tough
so people.
preface.
My advice literally is just to like not overthink it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the secret to life in general. Like if I were to write an advice book, it'd be like, don't overthink it, live in the moment. And so I think a lot of people will literally be like, okay, I need to post today. I want to take the perfect blurry photo, like car photo, so it doesn't look like I'm trying so hard. Just post what makes you happy. Like, and that's the secret to life in general, just like living in the moment. So it's like, I try not to overthink it. Like, I don't care if the lighting's bad. If I'm nerdily excited about like a book at a bookstore or like, you know, like the snack selection here at Aspen Institute is like top notch. Thank you, snack people.
Yeah.
I will post it. I don't think too hard about it. And so that's really my top advice, is to try to live authentically, express yourself, and have fun with it. Like, did I slide into Eileen's DMs after the Met Gala? I sure did. You know, if there's someone, for instance, like Chef Daniel Hum, who's here, who I'm like, your food is delicious, like, let's hang out. I mean, not really. I'm a little intimidated by, like, this food god, but like, you know, it's like just not to overthink it and have fun with it. I mean, what do you think, Eileen? You're so good.
I think, well, thank you, first of all. And I think that you're so right, because it's this really interesting balance right now about this increasing sense of humanization. Because before it was like the idols, right? And like you see this like glittering, sparkling life that's so unattainable, but that's kind of the fun of it. And now we're kind of transitioning to like the humanity of it and like the stories and like what I see on a daily basis and what's making me happy, you know, the food that we're having or the books, whatever, you know, I think you're so right about that. On the other hand, because it stays on that profile, it's so interesting because there is this pressure to curate a little bit because it's at a glance. So it's like, how am I going to filter everything so that it all looks cohesive? Or, you know, there are people who, like you were saying, the blurry car picture, it's like, how do I consciously make it look like I'm not trying? And so it's this really interesting dynamic, I feel like, right now. And I think what's really interesting, what adds to that, is the stories component, because there's the whole thing of like, you post your posts on the grid and it stays there, and then the real candid stuff happens on the story or on the live.
Or on Reels now, because Reels you're going to have only in the Reels tab and your followers will never see it. I think here's something also that frees people's minds a lot. A lot of people will be like, oh my God, my grid has to be perfect. It's like that store window and everything has to be absolutely gorgeous. Most people, once they follow you, your millions of followers, they very rarely go back to the grid and look again at your grid.
True, exactly.
And so people over pressurize the grid and like the look of the grid, but once they follow you, they see you as in a feed experience and like usually don't go back to grid. At least anecdotally is what I've seen. So like, just live your life, enjoy, have fun. Like Eileen's literally been in like, I think 19 cities in the last 5 weeks. Like literally, I don't think that's an exaggeration.
Not even.
We were talking about it earlier. She was like, I've been here, and I'm like, I'm so tired hearing this. I just like want to take a nap hearing that. But it's like sharing her journey and, you know, inspiring the next generation of students, of like people who love fashion, who people are interested in like, you know, in sports and women in sports. It's like, they should be able to get it all from Eileen's profile, like on every surface of her profile.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of what you're saying is sort of post for yourself and not for your followers. And with this grid obsession of what it looks like, it's sort of like, who's really checking on these things?
I agree, and I also think that Eva's so right about this in the sense that right now everyone's on Instagram, right? Like people can have their primary source of news be from Instagram.
Yeah.
Their fashion influence is from Instagram. Their sense of connection with their friends and their peers are from Instagram. And so in that sense, it gives such a big voice to everybody. And so one thing I love about young people now is, you know, people used to post only about, here's me smiling in a
Cute outfit.
And now people are saying, okay, look at the world issues that are happening. I'm going to this protest tomorrow. Who wants to mobilize with me? Here's a donate link to AAPI violence or against AAPI violence. How can we as young people mobilize and create these communities? And suddenly Instagram is giving like such an easy platform and way to create that space. So that's something that I actually find has been incredibly impactful for my generation, more than any, you know, carefully curated feed could be.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do with mine, at least, is like try to create that balance of things that I'm interested in. So I care about fashion. I think it's very interesting and it's fun. So I do make fashion posts. On the other hand, I make very serious posts about the world and what kind of change I'd like to see, about multicultural connection and communication and how we can use sport to change that. And then it'll just be like a photo of me with cheese. And I'm like, this cheese!
Yeah,
so it's like this super random dynamic situation that I'm trying to be as real as possible. So I really agree with what you were saying.
But you never know, right? Like you could start posting about cheese and then like Bon Appetit will come to you or someone will come to you and be like, we see you love cheese. We'd love for you to write an article for our like December issue where you travel across Italy sampling cheeses. By the way, does that not sound
That
like
would be
the best job
I
ever?
was gonna say.
Bon App, give her a call.
Please.
But it's like, I think sharing that authentic side of you, like for me, like I've always loved children's books even before I had kids. I always loved YA, like young adult fiction. And so I used to post a lot about it on stories to the point where my like agent was like, there are like book publishers calling you because they want you to write YA. I'm not, for the record, not writing a YA book. I do not have the time. But it's like you never know where things will, how things will pan out if you are authentic to yourself and share your story.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to make sure we touch on Instagram's new metaverse fashion combo because we also have Eileen here, who is a brand ambassador for Louis Vuitton and Tiffany & Co., all of these things. And I'm sure everyone on that's watching knows about Instagram's new launch. So, Eva, could you tell us about that?
I'm actually wearing an outfit that you can basically get in the... So I'm wearing Tom Brown today. And it's like, this is the first time I've ever worn Tom Brown in real life, but my avatar on Instagram actually has worn Tom Brown before my physical self. And so it's like this really cool opportunity. And I know Nicolas Vuitton like is so interested in like future and like applications of like, you know, technology to fashion. I think it's a really exciting time where it's democratizing fashion even further. You're going to be able to have your avatar dressed in Balenciaga, Prada, and Tom Brown. Even if you don't have it in your closet, your avatar can. And it's just fashion is a form of self-expression. I mean, like you were wearing this amazing collared kind of like, you know, plaid dress. You were wearing like a sailor, like blingy sailor Vuitton moment look. I'm wearing like a schoolgirl look. Like it's all kind of like forms of how we're feeling today, and your avatar is just going to be another way to express that.
That's amazing. Does it make you excited, like working in this high fashion world?
So exciting, absolutely. And I think it's creating, like you were saying, touching into the future and that sense of even broader reach. Because now on Instagram, how many people do you follow that you've never really met in real life, but you feel like genuinely have some form of influence that you feel like you're learning from in your daily life? And like kind of stepping into that sphere and allowing that influence to have that level of impact is kind of crazy.
It's amazing.
And so you want to be yourself while you're doing that instead of this like voiceless thing saying, this is what I'm doing today, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. But like, okay, this is the avatar wearing this or doing this, and it kind of like puts a face to the name.
Yeah, it's gonna be so cool because like you can imagine one day like I know you design your own ski outfits, right? And so like when you are posting on stories, you might say like, ooh, like, you know, I like don't feel like posting my actual face today. I'm gonna have my avatar dressed like in my like ski outfit, kind of like sharing the updates. You know, it's like I think there's so many applications. I do feel like we're just scratching the surface. People are like, oh, you're coming in at the ground level. It's like, I don't even think the building's been built yet. It's like, we're so early on this, but there are gonna be so many cool ways. Like, I was telling Eileen, I'm relearning to ski after like 20 years.
We have Aspen Mountain right behind us.
You know, I'm not ready for that. That looks like a black diamond. I am on those I'm on that green circle life.
No, that's
like,
where we start.
in terms of the ski lift, I'm on the one that the kids are on where it like drags you up on a little carpet. But I'm like so excited about ski fashion.
Yeah.
And it's like, I could imagine a day in like, maybe not like in the next year or two, but like I will be able to learn like form and movement through the metaverse. Like I'll be able to learn like, you know, because it's based on form and movement. Like I think there's so much exciting stuff to be done. And the future is not even like, we're not even like scratching the surface yet.
That's amazing. Well, in the future, we can't wait to see what happens with you both and keep following you both on Instagram. To end, I just want to see who you guys recommend that we follow on Instagram, or who's a new follow that you guys are really excited about, or...
Oh,
That's always a really hard
I know, it's hard.
I love a lighthearted animal post, and so I've been following this Instagram that's literally called like Floofy Friends, and it's literally all like fluffy animals. And there's also one that's about like round animals, and it's all animals that are really round, and they put them in like, you know, bowls and cups, and they're really delicious and yummy. And I also like right now I'm going through a phase where I really love like flowers. I'm following all these like florists, trying to be inspired. I have like the opposite of a green thumb, so I'm very inspired by that. How about
love
you?
that. I was gonna say, so there's cats with their mouths open.
Okay.
And it's like just different cats.
Okay. Are you a
with
cat
their
person or a
mouths
dog
open.
person?
I have 2 cats.
Okay,
Yes,
there
I'm
we
a
go.
cat person.
Okay.
So yes, huge on cats. I really like cat memes just
Okay.
in general.
Wait,
they
I
make so
started-
many expressions, and like it's so easy to like make them memes. So I really love cats.
I started following this account that's all Maine Coons, which are the
they're the big boys. They're the big
It's
boys.
like the size of like a Great Dane, and so I think if I were to get a cat, I would get a Maine Coon.
The big one.
It's literally like I don't have to. I'll DM you the handle, but it's like just giant cats being held up by people, and they're like the size of a small human. So it's kind of making me become a cat person.
Yeah, especially when they stretch out.
Oh,
and
it's
like they're so long.
They're so
You know what I
long.
mean? You like
It's
carry them, and the
amazing.
legs are just
They're like a
dangling.
slinky toy. It's like, and so that is what I am following.
Yes.
All right, well, to many more animal posts and many more fashion and skiing and all of the exciting things ahead for you both. So, and thanks everyone for joining us online, and more to come from Aspen Ideas Digital.
Thank you to Aspen Institute's Ava Hartman for facilitating that conversation, and to Instagram and Facebook's Eva Chen and Olympian Eileen Gu. I cannot get over the fact that she's, 18 years old? Super impressive, and a lot more incredible and impressive conversations to come, starting at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. We have a conversation with former Aspen Institute president and biographer Walter Isaacson and my colleague, CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin. They're going to be talking about how innovators succeed while others fail and the why behind it. They're also going to be exploring how the brilliant minds behind so many innovators and innovations work. Then we're going to go at 11:15 a.m. Mountain Time. Grab your retinol. If you haven't done your skincare routine, this is a good time to do that, because we have an important conversation about the way we perceive aging and a lot of fear that exists around aging. I know this is a conversation me and a lot of my friends talk about, right? A lot of the norms and stereotypes behind it. And so we're going to be diving in with supermodels Christy Brinkley, Jessica Krull, Paulina Porozoko, and Yasmin Warsami. They are going to talk about the inevitability of aging, the fact that we're all going to get older, but what does it mean for the health and beauty industry as a whole? Later, and this is an important one, we'll have conversations on how to detox your social media feeds. This is important because so many of us spend so much time on our screens, on our phones, on our tablets, right? And so we're going to talk about that with Jess Weiner. We'll also talk about the power parents have on their children's education. So if you're a parent or thinking about becoming one, this is a good conversation to tune into. We're going to have that conversation with Jane Costin, Renee DeResta, David French, and Esau McCulley. And then we're going to close out the day today with a conversation with Alex Karp and Andrew Ross Sorkin on the power of big data. I'm sure you've heard that discussed, right? There's so much information out there about you, about your companies. And so we're going to talk about what that means and what the implications are for big data. But before we dive into all of this programming, right, we have the 10 a.m., we have 11:15, we have so much more coming later in the day. It's important that we pause and reflect. Specifically, we want to talk about the legacy of Madeleine Albright. Last year, the Aspen Institute lost what they consider to be a close friend of the Institute. Former Secretary of State Albright was a 20-year trustee here at Aspen who first visited the Institute as a child, which is really incredible. Her family had actually fled from the Nazis and the Soviets to come to America, and years later, that refugee child would become the United States Secretary of State, which shows you the power of time and the many different journeys so many of us take. And so we're going to take a look at that tribute here from the 2022 Aspen Institute Ideas Festival. Let's take a listen.
I'm so delighted to see all of you here. It's always wonderful for me to come to Aspen. I'm a Colorado girl. My father started teaching international relations at the University of Denver, and Aspen had really just begun. And so they were using local professors as resource people. So I started coming up here when I was a teenager. The thing that makes me different from most Americans my age is that I actually lived through World War II in England and understood what it looked like when you woke up in the morning and came out and saw destroyed buildings. I have one thread in my life, which is that when the United States is not engaged, terrible things happen, and when it is, then usually it's for the best. I have a very basic belief that this is an exceptional country, where in fact our values have been a motivating factor, and in fact America is a very special place and we have special responsibilities.
You're a treasurer of the Aspen Institute, you're an American treasurer, you're now a global treasurer as well. Secretary Albright has taken on this duty to do this NATO for the Secretary General.
Most people who know me know that I believe in democracy. I don't believe in imposing it. I do believe in supporting it. But I also know democracy has to deliver. People want to vote and eat. American foreign policy has to be value-based, it has to be moral, but it cannot be moralistic, where we go around telling everybody what to do. I think people need to listen. I think that is the hardest part, is that we're always on transmit. The art of diplomacy is putting yourself into the other person's shoes, because not everything has to be a zero-sum game. I honestly think if you can't listen, you don't belong in the diplomatic service. It is very important to establish the governance procedures, because freedom without a set of institutions is very evanescent. There are a number of relationships that one has to have with countries where you don't agree with their government, but I actually think it's a mistake not to talk to countries. Basically, I think it's like a helium balloon. You need the idealism of the helium to get the balloon up and the ballast, realism, to get it moving. I'm really delighted to be a part of this family, and I just flat out have to say the only board I wanted to be on was the Aspen Institute boards.
A touching tribute for an important figure in Aspen's history and our country's. Thank you for that. And thank you for tuning in and joining us for the first morning update of the 18th Aspen Ideas Festival Digital Edition. We're going to be here all week, same time, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Don't be late. Bring your caffeine. Like I said, I will have mine always. And thank you. Let us know in the comments. Tweet us at Aspen Ideas or use the hashtag Aspen Ideas to let us know what you want to hear about, what segments and sessions are catching your eye, and what questions you have for a lot of the speakers we have in store. You can see the full schedule of the festival, both digital and in person, by clicking the home button at the top of your screen or by visiting aspenideas.com/digital. That's aspenideas.com/digital. We look forward to seeing you back. Again, hashtag Aspen Ideas. I'm Zincle Asamoah, or at Simply Zincle. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll see you right here tomorrow.